Hi there, this is Ideas on Truth, and I'm Lisa Taylor. Welcome to the program. Tonight I'm talking about being alone. Being alone. You know, I was sitting alone, meditating, praying the other day. Was that yesterday? It might have been today. It might have been this morning. I don't remember. And the idea came to me when I love being alone. But when I'm alone, it's actually, if you break up the word, it's all one. So when I'm alone, I'm one with God. So I'm connected to all that is. It's all one. I don't know. I just liked that thought. So I thought I'd put it out there. And it started me thinking about, why do I love being alone, and why is listening to God and listening to those angel messages that come to us so important for me? I mean, for me, it's critically important. And the definition of, or part of the definition of angels that I really like is God's thoughts passing to man. Angels are God's thoughts passing to man, spiritual intuitions pure and perfect. And that's from the book Science and Health by Mrs. Eddy. And there's another place in the book where she talks about, what does she say? Angels are, I'm going to look because I don't remember. Angels are God's representatives. Angels are God's representatives, which I think is another cool idea. So I know that when I've been working, when I am by myself and I am doing whatever it is that I'm doing, I've been a lot of different things. I was a news producer, anchor, I was a tutor and teacher. I've done a lot of different things. So in every job that I've had, there have always, and I'm sure you experience this, there are times when you get this little intuition that something's not quite right. Like if I'm editing a video, or I'm producing a radio show, or I'm writing a letter that needs to go out on an e-blast or something. There's like, you're writing along, or you're doing something, or you're watching something, you're editing something, and there's this little thought that's like, that's not quite right. And you go, and you keep going. And I cannot tell you how many times, if I had just heeded that little thought that came to me, that said, there's something wrong. Like there's like a little thing that hints at me, there's something off here, fix it. And if I don't heed that, it always, only always comes back to bite me in the butt. Like I'll finish producing something, I'll give it to a client, and the one thing that they say, you know, I like the whole thing, it's fabulous, except for this one little part. And of course, it was the part that I got the little inkling about. That has happened to me so many times. And when I remember when I was producing radio, and I was doing, at one point I was producing this talk show, and we were always recording live to tape, so I was watching the clock and we were trying to get it just to time because I didn't want to have to edit it afterwards before we put it up on the satellite. So invariably, I'd be going along and there'd be this one little part where I'd know it was going to have to be edited out, and if I'd only just stop and do like a pickup and start the show again and edit it out kind of live, that I wouldn't have to go do it later. And so I wouldn't jump in, and the anchor would keep going and the guest would keep going, and then there'd be no way I could edit it out, and it was like, if I'd only listened. And the other thing that I would notice is I would tune out and I would stop listening to the conversation. And I finally got to the point where I recognized that I am everybody. I am the listener. If I'm sitting there producing a show and I'm tuning out, I guarantee you everyone listening is tuning out. So I finally got to the point where I would trust those intuitions. I would trust that just what comes to me, even though there's a temptation to think, oh, you know, who are you? Everybody else is, you know, better or knows more or does. Trust your intuition. Trust that what's happening to you and your response to something is what the majority of people are going to do to respond to something. Trust that what comes to you is true, that what you're feeling about something is true, that if it feels off to you, it's probably off, that if it feels like this isn't good or it isn't right, trust it. There have been so many times. I know there was a time I was walking down the street, happened to be in a foreign country. It was not a great area, but it was fine. And I got this sense that this was really uncomfortable. There was nobody around to threaten me or to make it seem like it was an uncomfortable situation to be in at all. But I just got this sense, this doesn't feel right. And I ended up walking quickly kind of back to the hotel. But just as I turned the corner, there's this situation there with a couple of other people that really wasn't good to be near. And it was very important for me to get to where I was going quickly. And so when you have these intuitions, and it was fine, by the way, it was fine because I had acted quickly on that thought that came to me and moved along. But when those intuitions, when those little thoughts come to you, listen to them. So how does this go back to alone and all one? Because whatever we're feeling when we're alone, whatever we're feeling, if we're alone in a room with no other people, or we're alone in a room with a bunch of people around, or a bunch of circumstances around us, it doesn't really matter. We're always one with God. Always. We're always just us with God. And those spiritual intuitions, those angels, those God's thoughts passing to man, those spiritual intuitions, pure and perfect, are the things that uplift our experience to a higher level. When we listen to them and heed them, our life becomes better on every level. And it is our job to tune in to those little intuitive, inspiring thoughts that, hey, Elo, I haven't seen you in a long time. Thanks for joining. It's our job to tune into those thoughts. It's our job to tune into what is inspiring us and listen and heed it and follow it. So whether you're in a room full of people alone or you're sitting in a room by yourself alone, know that when you are alone, you are always one with God. You are always one with your highest sense of yourself. So that when those intuitions come to you from your highest self, listen and follow. They mean something. They're there for you. They're there for me. They're there for the purpose of bettering our life. Alone is all one. That's my thought. All right. I love you. Share this. Like my videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this out. Write me an email. I actually have gotten some really cool emails recently, so thank you guys for writing me emails. ideasontruth@gmail.com. All right. Love you. Talk to you next time.